Beyond Jazz.
Hey, this is your girl, Gwendolyn Collins.
Yeah, somebody break.
KUAW Radio.
Okay, let's say that.
It hasn't got to the hour yet. It's gonna just let me up.
Oh.
Because it's gonna see where it says hour.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna start.
Oh, okay.
Hour. So it's gonna cut that song off.
Oh, I'm about to say, like, where's the station ID at?
Yeah. And the station ID should come in.
Hey, this is George Walker. Let's invite you to check out the BFTAA and more.
Come on, Deacon.
Hey.
Come on, Deacon Walker. Yeah. Got the smooth jazz voice.
Right. A quiet storm voice.
Quiet storm voice. But Jesus, though.
So just
But
click on this
Jesus.
is supposed to play, right?
So as soon as it's finished, it's gonna go into the station ID.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought that was okay.
No, here's the station ID.
Okay, okay.
Stop. There you go. Start this up. That's where that not that far.
You know, I used to.
So now,
Okay.
What up, everybody? It is 12 noon in the middle of the map. And this is your girl, Miss Angela Roux, with Roux on the radio on KUAW 98.5 LEFM. And that is Casey's global community radio station. I am your girl, Miss Angela Roux, as I stated before, with Serenity on the boards. What's up to the say? What's up to the people?
What's up?
We got all.
Got bump going.
Yes, Tribe Called Quest in the building. Check the Rhyme, one of my favorites, on one of my favorite albums ever. So it is Saturday the 19th. So let's go down the list of things that have happened. So we can't barbecue while we're black. Can't golf while we're black. We can't do R&B while we're black. It's Malcolm X's birthday, and we have a black princess.
Yes.
What a time to be alive. That's all I got to say. I did not stay up and watch that. I'm not fascinated that much. I'm fascinated with sleep. So that's what I did. So if you were into that type of thing,
I knew it was coming, but I didn't know it was today.
It was.
I didn't keep up.
All I know is that on my Instagram, it was like everybody was posting about Meghan Markle's mama rocking her locks and her nose ring, being unapologetically black. I'm like, yes, disturb those stale genetics in that monarchy. Yes, yes. So I'm here for it. But we're not here to talk about hot topics today. We're actually here to do an interview with one of my really good friends and also a very talented filmmaker and photographer. So let's just go ahead and kick the ballistics. Old school, why don't we? So Diallo French. Mr. Diallo French was born in Kansas City, and he started out as a musician. Did not know that. He began filmmaking career when he brought the 8mm camera from a pawn shop. That's always how it starts. $1 and a dream, yo. Diallo moved to Atlanta, Georgia in the early 1990s and attended Clark and Atlanta University, majoring in mass communications, radio, TV, and film. While attending school, he worked as a production assistant on several music videos that included such artists as TLC, Outkast, Goody Mob, Xscape, Raven Simone, Usher, and with director and legend Hype Williams. He is an award-winning filmmaker and jazz photographer with the BET film to his credit entitled May This Be Love. His photographs have been used in Hallmark cards, exhibited at the American Jazz Museum, Vine Street Studio, Buttonwood Art Space, Keyhole Gallery, and the Box Gallery. So, without further ado, Diallo French is in the building.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Okay. We can hear you just fine. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Good, good.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, as I always love the fact that your music, or not your music, but your photography has always been really great to me, because the fact that I love the fact that you do black and whites.
Oh, thanks.
So how did you first get started in all this in terms of so you got the 8mm camera.
Right.
So first of all, let's backpedal, because actually I want to talk about this musician thing.
Music thing. I
so
knew that.
let's go back to music. Let's go back to musician thing. So what are we talking about here? Vocal, rapper?
No, not rapper. Definitely not rapper. So when I was very little, I wanted to be a performer. Not a lot of people know this about me. My mother took me to my first concert, which was the Jacksons in like the late 70s. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I spent most of my childhood writing songs, and even in high school I was in a couple of different bands. I play keyboard a little bit. Yeah. Not as good as some of my friends, but you know, I know a few chords.
Okay, a few progressions here and there.
Exactly.
Like,
so then I sort of realized that I wasn't really that great of a singer. I could always dance though, but I never could really sing.
I've never seen you dance.
Oh, I can still got it.
All right, we'll have to check this out later.
Just the right music. I can't dance to the mumble rap stuff, but
we're gonna talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But I got
Tribe might get me going. But anyway, so so it evolved into, I did a little research and found out that the songwriters and producers were making more than the actual performers. And so I was always a big fan of like Quincy Jones and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Babyface. And so I started writing music. Actually, I can remember being in the studio with Tech like a long time ago. I wasn't producing a song. I just happened to be there.
For my listeners who are not aware, if you're not aware, you've been under Tech Nine. You're under a rock, but Tech Nine.
Aaron Yates, as I refer to him. So
Brother Aaron.
So yeah, it sort of evolved, and so I actually sent demos to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and to LaFace Records, and actually at one point, Left Eye had a company called Left Eye Management. So when I was living in Atlanta, I gave a demo to one of her guys, and he actually liked it. But then right after that was when the whole fire and all that happened.
So she was literally hot.
Yeah.
In these streets. That was terrible. I'm sorry, y'all. That was.
But I always loved movies, and I was always fascinated with the filmmaking process, and was a big Star Wars fan growing up. And then as I got older, got into like Spike Lee and so forth. And I did my first little short to Michael Jackson's "I Can't Help It" on 8mm film.
Okay.
When I was in Penn Valley. That was like when I was like 19, fresh out of high school. And that was the first thing I did. And it just kept building from that. And then when I went to Clark, Atlanta, my major was mass comm, radio, TV, film. And then I met one of the guys in one of my classes said that I told him because at that time I wanted to direct music videos. I didn't really want to do features.
So like who? I mean, because obviously this is like we're not to date you, but I'm assuming this is like
I'm old. It don't matter.
Like so, you went to Clark Atlanta. Like this, what time period are we talking about?
I was there from like 94 to 96.
So it was a really good pocket. Okay. So like for those who are not familiar, like obviously, like Atlanta,
the Olympics, you know,
right?
All that,
well, Atlanta was really starting to pop with LaFace Records, like Babyface, and you know, LA had put together this monster roster on their record label, and so you had the likes of Outkast and TLC and Damien Dane was
Damien Dane.
Yeah, it's like it was a lot of different people.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
And so
so like talk about like for me, like you get into this, like so who were you inspired by music video director wise?
Well, Hype Williams, of course, and I got a chance to work with him on the Benz and a Beamer video, which you can actually pull up. Outkast, Benz and a Beamer, which you can pull up on YouTube and watch. Actually, my roommate's car is in it. So if you ever see that, if you ever pull up the Outkast Benz and a Beamer video, and there's an overhead crane shot, and you see this old green Samurai that has Kansas license plates on it. That was my roommate.
Wait. Johnson County or the
No, she's from Wyandotte County.
She's from the dot. Okay, I just want to make sure she's from the dot. Okay,
yeah, she's from Wyandotte. She still lives in Atlanta too, by the way.
Okay.
Shout out to Michelle Shoemate. She's also a filmmaker.
That's what's up.
So I met a guy in a class who I told him I wanted to get into music videos, and this was like spring 1994, and he said you need to talk to Kim Moye, and I said who is that? I said well she's like the best music video producer in Atlanta. And so I basically called her up and was like, I'm a student at Clark. I want to get in music video production. And I said, I'll work for free. And literally like the next, like less than a week later, I was on my first music video shoot.
Wow.
You want to know what the video was?
Yes.
It's this really weird, I don't even know if you can find the video, but it was a female rap group called Dis and Dat featuring the 69 Boys called Party.
Wow. Okay.
It was like a booty shake. They used to call that booty shake music.
Well, twerk music now.
Yeah.
This and that, like DIS
Yes.
DAT?
DAT.
Oh,
a female. They were like from Miami or
so
something.
she did you like she said, okay, I want to see how committed he is to this process.
Basically.
Because it's like, look, I'm not just going to give you like, oh, I'm not going to give you Goody Mob. I'm not going to give you no, I'm going to give you the most. I'm going to give you Brenington Hip Hop Dalmatians. And we're going to let you just sit.
Real hip hop, dog.
Right.
Real hip hop.
We're gonna give you the most ignorant, like offshoot video ever. Is like, can you endure this?
But the 69 boys were hot at the time. That's when like Tootsie Roll and all that was out.
But my question is this: like, were they featuring, or was it this and that?
It was this and that's video featuring. Right, I know that sounds weird, right? Featuring the 69 boys,
right? So,
and that was actually like a little southern hit because it was like a
the regional like freaking anthem.
Exactly.
I got you. Okay,
you can find that video on YouTube.
All right, we'll go ahead if we can find links, and it's appropriate.
I'm about to say, should I be looking?
Like, if it's appropriate,
is it appropriate,
we will try to go ahead.
It was pretty tame. It was pretty tame.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I was gonna say though, I think that. This and that. That's hilarious.
What they doing now.
No, we're not going to wonder. We're going to assume. Okay, that's what we're going to assume.
Right.
But again, we are on Roux on the radio on KUAW LPFM, and we are talking to Diallo French. Obviously, he has a lot of stories as being a former production assistant during the height of the hot Atlanta era. Let's call it. So I want to actually take a quick little break. When we come, a quick little break. And when we come back, we're gonna have some war stories.
I have a favorite video story.
Okay, we're gonna talk about Diallo's favorite video shoot story on the other side of the break. So, Serenity, what you got queued up for the people? What you think? Crush.
Sure. We're just gonna play a little bit of it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. For those of you who got crushes on people, this is it. Community radio station. We are still on with Diallo French, noted filmmaker and photographer extraordinaire. And also, and
She went
also,
to her sexy voice. For
yes.
that.
yeah. But no, like we were just talking on the other side of the break in the previous segment about him being a production assistant during the height of Hotlanta. For you youngins that don't know, Atlanta,
we should play some 90s music
boy,
for the next break.
Atlanta during a certain pocket of the 90s, I couldn't tell you. Everybody was trying to get to Atlanta. Everybody was trying to
Some
be.
people still trying to get there.
Yeah.
They late, but they late,
they
but no, but still, like it was just like you had, you literally had Dungeon Family, which is Goody Mob, Outkast, Sleepy Brown, TLC obviously was popping.
Society of Soul. A lot of people don't remember.
Like Tony Braxton was coming out of LaFace. It was like a lot of it's like there was so much, like the Boomerang soundtrack was basically LaFace Records.
Yeah.
So like there was so much coming out. So we're gonna talk a little bit about your favorite story as being a production assistant on a music video shoot. So, give the people what they want.
Well, I'll try to. I won't try to make the story as short as possible, but basically,
go.
It was my poor mom. I didn't when I was at Clark. My mom's deceased now, but at the time she was still living here, and I used to not come home to visit in the summer. I'd stay in Atlanta. I mean, stay in Atlanta for the summer. So my poor mom was like, you ain't gonna come see me. So I got a plane ticket. It was a standby ticket because my dad worked at TWA to come home. And I was all set to come home. And Kim Moye, who was a music video producer, called me and said, hey, what are you doing the next couple of days? And I said, well, I'm going home to Kansas City. She was like, oh man, she's like, I need a PA to work on this TLC video. Ooh. And I said, I can change my plans.
Exactly. I'm available.
Yeah. Exactly. So I called my mother and said, it'll be a couple of days. Like, because with a standby pass, you can just change it. It doesn't, it's not locked in. Mm-hmm. So what it was is this was right around the time that Left Eye burnt down Andre Risen's house. And so they had Crazy Sexy Cool was getting ready to come out. And so the record company did this rush to shoot like 2 or 3 music videos from the album so that they could promote the album in case she went to jail.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's hood politicking.
Yeah, they did this rush job. So they did the Creep. So it was for the song Creep. Okay. I worked on. Of course, they ended up reshooting because they didn't like it, but I have a copy of it, of course.
Wait, so the original treatment was not them in the silk pajamas?
No.
Okay, for those who are okay, I'm sorry, I just used jargon. Sorry, y'all. For those who do not realize, okay, so a treatment for a video is literally like the storyboard. What it's supposed to look like. If there's a narrative that's going on, like anything that you see in the video as far as the overall agenda of the video is called a treatment.
Right.
So basically, you're saying that the original video was not them in the pajamas. Wow. Okay. We getting exclusives here and Rule the Radio.
Like I said, I have a copy of it on VHS, the whole video. And actually the original video I like better because it had more of a plot. Whereas in the original, like the video they ended up using is just kind of them in their pajamas singing and Mm-hmm. So anyway, so we shot the video. It was a 2-day shoot, and it was just, Tupac was on the set. Of course, L.A. Reid, Usher was on the set. Of course, he was only like 12 or 13 at the time.
Bless his heart.
Jermaine Dupri, Pebbles, and of course, and then Risen was on the set. So even though between takes, she would go sit in the car with him and be in to me, that's my most fondest memory.
So my question to you is this, because knowing what we know now about the infamous TLC story, was there any beefing going on set with TLC and Pebbles at that time?
Not that I saw.
Not at that time. Because I'm like, I just like, it's like, if there's tea to spill, we will gladly.
They were pretty much like, when they weren't shooting, they were in their trailer. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really like,
Was there ever anybody like without incriminating? Well, okay. If you feel comfortable saying this, was there any particular like PA story where you dealt with a difficult celebrity or anything like that, or a difficult director?
No. Usually the artists that were doing the videos were cool. It was the crew that was usually the butts, like the grips and sometimes the sound people, and
really?
They felt like they knew everything, and I was just some
just kid like fetch my coffee.
Exactly, and I had to like let them know, because even prior to that,
he said let them know.
Yeah, because prior to that, before I even moved to Atlanta, I worked at a film company here in town in Kansas City that did commercials. You know, I shot my own stuff. So, I mean, I was really just looking at that as
it wasn't completely green.
Right.
Exactly.
I was just,
Yeah.
it wasn't my first time on the set or anything. I was just looking at that. And for one, it was nice little money because I made like a couple $100 a day. And then the other piece was just, you know, networking and just sort of, you know, plus, like I said, at the time, I thought I wanted to direct music videos. So I thought that was my end. So,
right. So,
but yeah, I always remember because Tupac was on the set. So that
yeah.
was,
So did you like, and it's predating social media. So of course it's like,
I couldn't take a picture.
You couldn't take no picture.
No selfie.
It's like there was nothing like,
I know.
Lets me know, like, oh my God, I'm here and he's there. Yeah, I get it.
It's funny. I was telling somebody a few weeks ago. So when I was in school in Atlanta, my two jobs was I worked as a PA on music videos, and then I worked at Peppermint Music at Greenbrier Mall. And Greenbrier Mall is in like the
it's in
East Point College Park
Greenbrier
area.
Mall is not
at
all like Linux.
No,
not at all.
But it's like, back then it was like the mall because all of those people lived in that area. So like our regular customers were like Chuck D and Fife and Big Boy from Outkast, Big Gip, you know, TLC used to come in, Escape used to come in because they all kind of lived in that area.
So
Criss Cross.
Wow.
So like,
talk about,
and I just hate that we didn't have phones back then,
because it would have been like your Instagram would have been lit. It would have been lit.
My scrapbook would have been off the charts.
Right. That's crazy.
But, you know, all I had was I took a few pictures, but not very many because back then we had disposable cameras.
But you know what? It's actually kind of cool because, like, you know, I always looking like, you know, everything's so documented now. Like, it's like, oh, it didn't happen unless you took a picture of it.
Right.
But it's to the point now. It's like, look, you want to have those memories. Yeah. Like, it's like, I just being in the moment. Like, it's kind of crazy. But you actually brought up you kind of made me segue into a situation where I'm like, I was thinking about my own oh my God moment was at the Janelle Monáe concert, which you actually did photography for when she came here. So how did that go about?
There's a guy named Chris Milburn. I don't know if he still has it, but
dementia.
Yeah. Does he still do dementia?
I do not know, but shout out to Chris.
Yeah,
Milburn.
So he literally called me like
Locals Over Legends
the day before and was like, "I'm doing an article on the concert. I got you a photo pass."
Word.
I said, "Bet."
Okay. It was that simple.
Yeah, and so I went, and I've been trying to get a photo pass. Another guy claimed he was going to give me one and kind of left me hanging, and so.
I definitely know you got to know some people.
Yeah, so I was glad Chris called me, and those are still probably my favorite pictures. That was just a great concert.
It was really great. Like I had my own oh my God moment because I was like literally down on the floor and she was doing.
She came down.
She did War of the Roses.
Yeah,
and literally she came down into the audience and it's like, I'm here. For those of us in live vibes, like I'm sitting here. Like I'm actually because she had us all sit on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
And then like she comes down. I'm like, she's literally like. Her little pint-sized self is like literally touchable. Like I can literally touch her. Yeah. And God help me, I have a cell phone out. And you can hear me on my cell phone going, oh my God. I crack up now going like, I completely fanned out.
I like to see that footage.
I fanned out. So
fan
hard.
Girl.
I mean, like after the concert was over, I looked at my friend and we jumped around like with 13-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Because it was like the craziest thing. The accessibility of some artists is just, you know, it's so rare now. Yeah. So to have somebody connect like that, Janelle does a really good job of connecting with her fan base where she literally will just make herself like, I'm here. You can stand amongst me. Like, you know, that type of thing. So at any rate, I was going to go ahead and ask you about how did you go into doing photography for like the jazz musicians around here and what kind of transitioned you from doing I want to be a music director into going into photography. Yeah.
Well, I think of myself as a filmmaker and music photographer. Mm-hmm. So I did it backwards. Most people start off with still photography and then go into motion. I did it backwards. I started in motion and then went to still. Hey. But how it happened is I started working at the Jazz Museum as one of the assistant events coordinators in 2001. Mm-hmm. And it really was just a hobby. Because I would be in the Blue Room a lot for work. Mm-hmm. And I started just photographing on film. That's how long ago that was. And then some of the musicians liked the photographs I took of them. Mm-hmm. And then it was actually Bobby Watson was the one that said, you know, this is great what you're doing. You're documenting the music scene here now. And I never really thought about it like that. And I said, huh. And so after that, I kind of took it more seriously, and it just kind of just grew from that. So I've been doing that for about 12 years now.
And so for those who are not familiar, Diallo is really his signature, I would have to say, is the black and white photo.
Yeah.
How did you just stumble on that? Was it just something that spoke to you artistically, or was that, what was that?
Well, I'm a big admirer of people like Gordon Parks and Herman Leonard, Francis Wolff, who did all the Blue Note album covers.
Yeah.
And so jazz to me has always been a black and white imagery, because it goes back so far. They didn't even really have color photographs in the early days of jazz. And so, and plus black and white is like the film I'm working on now, and some of my almost all of my short films are in black and white. Is such a timeless
it really
visual.
Is. Yeah.
And so I like the idea of creating timeless work that you can't really tell. Even when you look at my short film, May This Be Love, we shot in black and white at the old Street Side Records, but it doesn't look like it fits into any particular timepiece.
Right. So. And that's one thing I will say about your particular photographs is that if you didn't know what you were looking at, you would literally think that potentially it could have been shot 30 years ago or 5 days ago. It doesn't matter. Like it was just, but I just love the fact that it's so sharp. And because black and white is so synonymous with jazz, just like you said, like literally it's one of those things where you're just like, okay, it sets a mood. Yeah. Like, and to me, like jazz is it's very stark. Like it's kind of ironic though, because jazz has a lot of different colors that they use musically, but just the way it's shot, it was just like it kind of is an ironic play on the fact that you're dealing with just these two colors, but this music has multiple colors. Right. So I've always enjoyed that about your photography.
Oh, well, thanks.
Of course. So I was going to ask you, you kind of brought up Street Side Records. For those who are of a certain age,
Street Side Records, what that was.
Street Side Records, actually, okay.
Rest in peace, Street Side.
All right. So here's a little gentrification fact, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that a segment? Normal?
Yeah, I don't know, but we might have to drop that.
Yeah.
We might have to drop that.
That was a regular thing.
Gentrification. Did you know that Westport Ale House was Street Side Records?
Right.
Yeah.
For a very long time. Like going back to the 70s, I think. Oh, I can tell you. All
right, let's go. Kick the team, man. Yeah, let's make it happen.
So I worked at Street Side. It was called Penny Lane before it was Street Side.
Yes, I remember that.
So
I remember that.
So I started working there right after it became Street Side, which was like in '97. I just moved back from Atlanta, and I wanted a little part-time job to go with my day job.
So you started working at the record store.
I worked in record stores since I was like 19. So
that's what's up.
So I started working. I was the only black guy at the time that was working there, and so basically, Street Side was originally a sort of an area chain. They only had locations here, Lawrence, Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like Seventh
maybe
Heaven.
St. Joe or
it's kind of like Seventh Heaven, where it's like literally just regional to this area.
Yeah, St. Louis, and it was based out of St. Louis, I think. And then they sold to a larger corporation. I can't remember which one that was for a while, and then they sold to FYE.
Oh, yeah.
So it became like a corporate thing.
Right. So
and Street Side was never a corporate record store. I mean, we sold a lot of independent hip hop, a lot of independent jazz, a lot of independent R&B, a lot of independent rock. And so like people that we didn't sell a lot of like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber.
We do not mention that child's name on this show.
I'm sorry.
She when she did the unseasoned version of September, she no longer will.
Last month. Yeah.
Yeah, she will not be allowed. No, she is canceled if she wasn't already canceled. The Slytherin has not been named on this show since then.
Tay has not been named.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway. So then, but that building was kind of falling apart, and I think the rent was like $10,000 a month.
Oh wow!
And this was when CDs were on their way out, as they are now in a sense. And although we started to sell vinyl again and was making a lot of money doing that, but not enough. And so the corporation that owned it sold, and then the two guys that own Ale House, because they own some other restaurants too. I think
Yeah.
they came in and redid the building. Actually, I got to give it to them. The building looks nice. I
It
went in.
does. Events,
Yeah.
maybe an NCAA tournament game or 3.
Or
But
or
you know,
double.
potential. But I mean, when you know what it used to be, it's kind of like,
Mhm, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's because I never got a chance to actually go to Street Side Records because I
When did it close?
It closed, and I remember it was not long after Michael Jackson died. So I want to say like 2000.
I'm about to say I
maybe.
went
Yeah.
like in the
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and at the
5
time,
or
and
6 or
at
something,
the
I've been in
time,
there
I
a
think
few
it was one
times.
of those things where it's like, you know, if you're of a certain age, CDs dropped on Tuesdays for
Mhm.
$9.99 at
Yep.
Best Buy. So
Yep.
what would I go to?
Yep.
Like I didn't think about going to a mom and pop record store. It wasn't something
Yeah,
that really
that's
was thought
true.
of
But the
until
thing
like,
about Street
later.
Side is because we had the best jazz collection by far in the whole city, is that on new release day, they weren't going to have the new Joshua Redmond or the new Kenny Garrett at
Mhm.
Best Buy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But Street Side
okay.
would.
Yeah,
and
that's
at that
true.
particular time,
The
I
new
had a
Branford
major.
Marcellus album
Yeah, they
wasn't going to
wouldn't
be
have
at Street
that.
Side. I mean, it wasn't going to be
and
at
I
Best
was
Buy.
Yeah,
young
that's
at the
true.
time, and I had a major aversion to jazz because that
Oh,
was my
okay.
daddy's music. Now I have learned that
You appreciate
I
it now.
appreciate it much
Yeah.
more now. But
Yeah, because we had a since you never been, we had a jazz room. So you actually went downstairs, and it was a whole room with nothing but jazz. And we had listening stations at one point where you could listen to anything in the store. We would open up any CD for you and let you
Wow.
listen to it. Yeah,
so what?
those were the good old days.
So what do you think
Right.
about this renaissance now of like, you know,
Vinyl?
of vinyl and record
I love
stores?
it. I love it because I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just keep it real. I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s, so I grew up on records. My mom used to take me to. You'll remember Tiger's Records. That's going way back.
I'm like,
And
I love it.
Tiger-
I've never heard of
I love
that.
it.
Tiger. It was down on Independence Avenue, right?
Wait,
And-
Oh, well, on that
It must have been
avenue?
safe. It must have been safe
This was
because
like-
no one goes on the avenue now.
This was like 70s, 80s. As a matter of fact, I remember my mother bought the Thriller album down there. I remember. But anyway, they had a DJ booth in there. Remember that? It was a DJ booth in the record store. Like
Wow.
a booth. And they'd be playing music while you're in there. I used to love it. And so I was a little kid and I'd go in there with my mother. And my mother loved music. And she never walked out of there with less than 10 or 15 records.
That's crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So we're gonna pause for the cause real quick and give our sponsors a little love. But you did bring up record stores. So on the other side of the break, we're gonna actually talk about your latest project coming up and the wonderful fundraiser that I think is gonna be dope. That's gonna also coincide with making money for this. So Serenity, what you got first?
Hey, yeah.
Play the song I really want to hear.
What you want to hear?
Ain't no thing but a chicken.
Uh-huh.
I'm
I actually wanted to.
Let's keep it.
And so we can't, okay, we'll talk about it off air. Anyway, we'll come back on the other side of the break as we're on the radio.
Start coming up.
Yes. Okay. Okay, will do.
I would not want to play this song.
Because
No, it's not. Hey, that's not.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, well, you want to play something else?
yes. I was going to play. I wish we could play something with the camera.
There's got to be an edited version somewhere.
Yes. What?
Community radio, y'all. This is what happens.
Turn your Wi-Fi off.
Turn it off?
Yeah, just get it on your phone data. That's what I had to do. Now play it.
Learning on the fly.
Mm-mm.
Amen. Learning on the fly. Play
no,
some.
Mr. Walker, it's
play-
not doing.
Play something else.
Right. We're gonna have to do something else.
There you go. photographer. We've been chopping it up about days gone by when music was hot, and actually you could understand the lyrics. No shade, no shade.
I'm like, wait.
But
a
you know, it
minute.
was such a what a time to be alive when you could actually like memorize lyrics and they could be. Your latest project that's getting ready to come out, which is A Song for You.
Yes.
So talk about the project. How do we got about it? And I'll tell the people as it is.
Okay. Well, it's like maybe 50-60% autobiographical. What I told you before, I started out a musician. So it's a love story. And if you're an actual artist, and how do you find your place in that? You know, mixing artistry with, you know, the whole corporate, you know, marketing piece. So yeah, I wrote it about, it's been a while now. I think I did the first draft of the script in 2006. So it's gone through a lot of changes over the course of the last, I guess that'd be 12 years or so. Well, maybe not 12. Yeah. So, so anyway, so we've been raising money for it since January. We raised about half the budget. As a matter of fact, today when I leave here this afternoon, I'm heading over to work on some of the music for the film. The star of the film is a guy by the name of Anthony Saunders.
Shout out to Anthony Saunders, Kansas City's own.
Yeah.
He is a wonderful musician and songwriter who's also wrote for quite a few people as well. So if you're not familiar with his music, go and look him up for sure.
And who's also, going back to what we talked about earlier, him and Janelle Monáe are classmates.
Oh, wow. Look at all this Schlegel.
Shout out to Schlegel. I went to Schlegel my freshman year. So shout out to Schlegel. But anyway,
no, I'm just Casey mowing me. I'm sorry.
Yes. But see,
anyway, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm a total Kansas Cityan. Spent my life in Kansas and Missouri. So anyway,
it's all good.
So yeah, we're having a fundraiser at Josie Records, 1814 Oak on June 9th. It's going to be an 80s party. Not really a party, just really an 80s jam. We're going to have 3 different DJs. We've got The Hill, the DJ. We've got J9 and then Jock Max.
The infamous, legendary Jock Max.
Yeah, Jock Max. Yeah, so they're going to be playing all the best 80s music. We're also going to have the DeLorean from Back to the Future. It's going to be there.
So when we talk about, are we talking strictly 80s hip hop, or are we just talking about the whole thing?
Everything.
Okay. And are people encouraged to dress up?
They are. I mean, it's not really a costume party. Somebody asked me that the other day. I said, sure. I said, I'm probably not going to, unless I can find an old members only jacket or something, I'm probably not going to.
I'm sure you probably can find it. Like, they're back in
Will
style
it fit,
a little bit.
though, is the question.
You
but,
know,
because it's probably going to be hot. Hopefully the weather hold up. It'll be nice and hot. But so just come on through for those 3 hours. We're going to have a bar set up. I'm going to be raffling off some of my framed photographs. Probably some of the Janelle Monáe photographs.
Definitely. If you are a Janelle Monáe fan, you want to be here because those photos are awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So when you make a donation towards the film, you get a drink and a free drink and a raffle ticket to get into the raffle. So if all goes as planned, we'll be doing principal photography in October. We're shooting some of the exterior footage next month. And like I said, we're starting to work on the music. The theme song, actually, we're starting to work on that today. So just trucking along, moving along. You know, the hardest part about filmmaking is getting the funding.
Exactly. So if, say, someone is not able to make this 80 shindig, you know, where can they go to actually, like, what's the link or whatever?
I'm glad you asked that.
Yes. Yes.
Basically, you can go to GoFundMe.com, and in the search engine, just type in A Song for You movie.
Okay.
And you'll see a picture of Anthony sitting at the piano with his Songs in the Key of Life and Off the Wall album sitting there.
Yeah.
Because those 2 albums are crucial to the plot and to the story. Go GoFundMe.com and type in.
And one of the other things that I thought was really dope about your project is that when the movie comes out, some of the proceeds or extra some profits from the movie are going back to music education in Kansas City, which is like,
oh, wow.
It's great. Amazing.
If by some miracle the film is profitable.
No. I mean, look, we're gonna speak that into existence. It's going to be profitable.
It's you know, what I want to do is put that back into you know, there used to be something here called the Charlie Parker Foundation.
Yes, my granddaddy was part of that. Yeah.
And actually, I know some people that took music lessons over there, and not necessarily bringing that back, but bringing something like that back.
Right.
And there are other small nonprofit music organizations around the city that they do. And I know at one point the Jazz Museum was giving free music lessons. I don't know if they're still doing that because the Jazz Museum is So
well, another day, another show. We'll talk about that.
That's a 3-hour show right there.
We might talk about that later.
So
moving on.
So it's I think it'd be a great thing for everything is going to be shot in Kansas City. Everybody involved is going to be Kansas City. The production company that I've worked with on 3 other films now. It's called Through a Glass Productions. They're based in Lawrence. A couple of KU alumni that started a production company, and also too on the theme of Kansas City and music. You know, I did a documentary a few years ago called Kansas City Dreaming: Music in Shadows, and you can go online if you Google my full name, Diallo Giovanni French. That's Diallo Javonne French. And just go into videos. You can pretty much look at all of my films I've done to this point, and they are dope. I mean, I've always kind of low key said okay, he's like Gordon Parks 2.0, like you know, not to be heady or anything. Exactly, like because that's a really lofty thing to say. It's like you don't want to. Like that's a pretty big shoulder to stand on. But if you're gonna stand on anyone's shoulders, that's the ones you should stand on. But I really do appreciate you coming on the show today. Thanks for having me.
And before we actually wrap up, because I know that you are a big music fan, we can just talk shop real quick just on playing. What are you listening to right now?
Let's see. I'm listening. You know, I'm not real big on a lot of the sort of major label acts right now. So I'm listening to a lot of like independent stuff, you know, Foreign Exchange. Fonte has a new record out.
Yes, he does.
Moonchild.
Yes.
PJ Morton.
Yep.
And then I listen to a lot of jazz. Of course, Robert Glasper, Gerald
Did you go
Clayton.
when PJ came?
I had a photography gig.
Oh, okay.
The grind never stops. It never stops.
I felt so bad. It was actually a friend of mine's. Shout out to Nicole Ivy. She turned 50, and she had her 50th birthday party, and so I photographed that for her. And I even asked her, I was like, "So how long do you need me?" but it actually was really fun. I actually went over to the riot room when I got done, but they were like packing up.
No, true story. Like the night that PJ Morton came, because I'm not gonna lie, I was late to the party. I did not know. I didn't want to be one of those people that show up to the concert just to be there, but don't know none of the music. So I didn't want to be that person. So I was like, I knew who he was, but I wasn't familiar with his music. So true story. It was so I wrote up on him, and then I saw Ryan Lee, who's a phenomenal drummer. Right. You know, remember the name. He's blowing up. He's going to go far. Trust me.
With a lot of major people.
People. So I go and dap up Ryan. And I was like, so, you know, what's up? He's like, you know, I was like, how's this going? He's like, man, I really want to be at the PJ Morton concert. And I was just like, so when the musicians, like, because musicians typically will like, look, I want to listen to the musicians listen to, because typically there's like some gems in there and I'm like, okay, all right, like this must be dope. So I'm like, if Ryan Lee's talking about, I kind of want to be a PJ Morton right now, I'm like, I messed up.
I
was like, I'm really messed up.
I missed it. Yeah.
Okay. So second question, because I've never had this discussion.
And let me say this real quick.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of people aren't familiar with that. Check out a group called All Cows Eat Grass.
Excuse you? Run that back.
Right.
All Cows Eat Grass. So this is a guy. The main guy is a keyboard player. I can't think of his name. He's in Atlanta. but he was Janelle Monáe's keyboard, but I don't know if he still is or not.
Mhm.
But he has a band called All Cows Eat Grass, and I've been listening to that a lot, and it is, I can't even describe it. You just have to hear it, but look it up. They have music videos and everything.
Okay, this is kind of like, is it akin to like, okay, these band names are hilarious, like Snarky Puppy.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, there's the only way I can describe their sound is it's like this new 80s kind of vibe,
like
with a new twist to it.
Okay.
But they are dope. I've been listening to them for a little more than a year now.
All right, that's interesting. I'm never gonna run.
Trust me. Trust me. You can trust me,
again.
Angela.
I said run the group name back again.
All cows eat grass. Because are you familiar with where that comes from?
Mm-mm.
So when you learn piano, because the abbreviation is ACEG.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what they teach little kids when they teach them piano.
That's
All
cute.
cows eat
Okay,
grass.
that's really cute. Okay, that's
Yeah.
real cute. But okay, so this is the question I've been waiting to ask you because we bump into each other like a lot of times at the record store. Okay.
I saw you on Record Store Day.
Record Store Day, I was there.
Fresh from this radio broadcast.
It really was. I was like,
Okay.
Literally went
It was
there.
like 1:15.
And literally, I said, I'm there. It's going to happen. So, because I was looking for my Tribe Called Quest. So,
Right.
anywho, you are a big Prince fan. So, I'm going to ask you a really hard question.
Okay.
Favorite Prince album?
Wow, that's a tough one. I would have to
Or just,
say,
or better, just go ahead and rank top 3.
okay, Parade, which is basically the soundtrack to Under the Cherry Moon.
Yes.
Even though I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but I love the
Nobody
music.
was. Nobody was. Except for the record store scene.
1999.
Okay.
And I can't think of the jazz album he did. Something People. I can't remember.
Let me go ahead and look.
It came out in like the late 90s. It's totally instrumental.
Okay.
Oh,
Hold
wow,
on.
okay.
So wait, I think.
But my favorite Prince stuff, I have to say, is the stuff he did with other people, like that he wrote for other people, like The Family, Andre Simone, what was it, Madhouse?
Yeah.
Like I like the stuff that is separate from like his solo work, his band leader stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like the stuff he did with Sheena Easton and Maserati. He did the song for this band called Tamara. I think he wrote it for himself. Andre Simone recorded, called "The Dance Electric," which there's actually a version online that Prince does, because you can't really tell their voices apart. Because I think him and Andre Simone are related or something. I forgot how they're related. But yeah, because Andre Simone was in his early band.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that I like of Prince is stuff that he's written, but that he's given to other people. So that's my favorite.
That's
stuff.
very interesting because, like, I always ask people like that.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
real. It's real.
Like,
real.
no, because
Most
seriously,
people
no,
don't, you know.
we were literally in the record store and literally
we were like arguing over something.
I was like, of course, but I'm like thumbing through it. I'm like, I'm seeing all like the early Prince stuff that predates Purple Rain,
like For You,
and I believe I think I saw Dirty Mind in there.
Yeah, Dirty Mind. I think Dirty Mind was in there.
Dirty Mind was in there. Controversy, but it was like, but Tribe. I literally said, I don't think anyone's going to discover.
Was it Low End Theory that you bought?
I bought Low End Theory and I bought Midnight Marauders.
Okay.
Yes.
Was Love Movement in there? You didn't like Love Movement?
Not really.
Okay.
No, I mean, like, I think
like nobody likes Love Movement. I like
no
Love
one.
Movement.
No one liked Love Movement for several reasons. It was the last.
I like Love Movement better than their first album, actually.
I'll
than
agree.
Bonita Applebum,
I will agree.
know?
I will agree because it was very kind of hippy dippy. I agree with that. However, there was something about Love Movement just felt like they mailed it in.
Well, yeah, they had a lot going on.
They had a lot going on. They were beefing at the time.
I mean, I used to see Fife in Atlanta, so he was living in Atlanta.
Right, so they beefed hardcore because Q-Tip and Fife were like,
and they owed the record company that record.
Right, so they mailed it in, and that's why I said it felt mailed in. I was like, this is not the Tribe. This is not the way they should end it.
I look at it from a historical standpoint, is that it's sort of the beginning of Jay Dilla's career.
Yes,
because Jay Dilla did a bulk of the record, so that's why I look at it.
It's a bridge.
Yeah,
it's a bridge to an era For sure.
Well, it wasn't the beginning of Jay Dilla's career, but like that was
The Dilla as we knew him. I mean
right.
that like because he did stuff for Far Side and
which
like,
predates that
predates
out. Far
JD.
Side was like
Was like-
95.
It was like 95, 96.
Yeah.
We're getting
Love
nerdy. We're
Movement.
getting mad nerdy right now. Like, oh my god.
I know.
It's like, sorry, y'all. We're nerding out right now, but we're gonna wrap this up. And actually, again, I want to thank y'all friends for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Great
Make
show.
sure you come out to the 80s bash to for the GoFundMe for a song for you at Josie Records.
June 9th.
June 9th.
3 to 6.
Oh yeah. And it's like, look, there's gonna be DJs. Jock Max will be there. If anything, Jock Max will be there. He's like a unicorn. You gotta catch him.
Right, every time they have those ones of his on Thursdays, I was like, I'm gonna go, and then something happens.
Something
No,
always.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
You gotta catch
I'm
him
the
when
same way.
you gotta
And
catch
I'm
him.
like, I need to check
So
them out.
before we wrap up, Serenity, you got any announcements? Anything that you that's coming up for the people to know about?
No, just my monthly open mic, first Thursday of June.
Where is it at?
At Pete's Place from
Out in
7 to
Grandview.
9.
Yep.
What else is going on in the town? I'm trying to think.
I got announcements.
You
I got
got
church announcements. So
Go ahead.
so on May 30th, I will be your guest host at Uptown Arts Bar for Poetic Underground.
Okay.
That is a 9 p.m. start for free 99. I know how y'all folks feel about your money. It is free.
You host there on the.
I'm hosting there on May 30th on Wednesday. So the last Wednesday of the month.
Oh, are you
Yeah,
doing that
it's-
from now on or just?
No, just because it's fifth Wednesday, and you
Okay,
know,
okay,
it's
that's
I can't. I have commitment issues. We meet again. I will have bridged another year. My birthday is on June 6th. So, you know,
Yeah.
Earl presents
Gemini
are always,
season.
yeah, Gemini season is upon us. We're not all crazy. Not all crazy. I got Cancer rising, so you know it's whatever.
My moon is in Gemini.
Yeah, well,
but-
you know that explains why we work so well. Anyway, no, but seriously, my birthday's on June 9th. Oh, not June 9th, but my birthday's on June 6th. My mother's birthday's on June 9th. So shout out to my mom.
Wow. Okay.
My mom's birthday is on the same day. So
Wow, okay.
love you, mama. You know, you may not be listening, but it's all good. She's probably planting flowers right now. Other than that, I will be on a couple of podcasts, more information coming, you know, with that. So, you know, life is good, you know, it is what it is. So next time on Roux on the Radio, more gentrification stories. And
we got Royal Chief.
we got the Royal Chief coming.
Yeah,
coming through. He's a
pretty dope.
very nice MC out of KC. Spent a little time in Atlanta as well. But but definitely got a dope project out right now. We're going to talk to him about his stuff and whatnot. Maybe get a couple of bars out of him. You never know.
And then,
but
of course, we have following us as always, Sherry Purpose
with the Gospel of Poets.
Y'all didn't want me to do a freestyle? No.
Oh, you freestyle?
You got bars?
No, I'm kidding.
You got
I'm
bars?
kidding. I do not have bars.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
Like,
it's like if you got it,
No.
we gonna
I get that from Robert. That's the running joke with Robert Glasper. He's always trying to like drop bars, but he really doesn't have any.
He has no bars.
No.
You want to leave us with?
He said he has more bars than the.
We didn't talk about it, but mental health.
Yes, it
Awareness
is
Month.
Mental Health Awareness Month,
We got, like, a
and
couple,
man, all right. So quick. Well, here's the deal. All right, really quick. If you suffer from a mental health issue of some sort, it's all about self-care.
Yes.
Surround yourself with people
and seek therapy if you need
yes
to.
And so like I say, surround
Seek
yourself with people
therapy.
that are good to
Black
you.
people, it's okay.
And go to therapy. There are places you can go that are for the church, for the dirt cheap. There's definitely programs that you can go to. So
I've
it
been
doesn't have to be
tagging
money.
Christina, like when people.
Yes.
I've seen people putting stuff out here lately. A lot
Yes.
of it about needing a therapist. So
Yes.
Christina Brown.
Yes.
Always,
Yeah, I was
name
like
on
the maiden
Facebook.
is like Christina Brown is definitely someone you want to hit up. Dacia Moore is definitely someone you want to hit up. Olafemi Sharp is definitely someone you hit up if you're looking for Black girl magic in your therapeutic journey. So definitely there's places and resources to do that. But again, we're gonna wrap up one time Roux on the Radio. Following us after this is Sherry Purpose Hall with the Gospel of Poets. It is the Black Girl Magic Power Block on Saturday at KUAW. See you next month.
Cool. Still clear.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Now we gotta take a picture though.
Okay.
Like the infamous wall. Photographers have issues with taking
I
pictures.
hate taking pictures.
And that's what I thought.
That's the irony of it
Because
all.
ironically, I
Because
don't
you
like.
don't want to be in front of
Because
it.
ironically, I don't
Right.
like the sound of my own. I don't like. I don't listen to any of my playbacks because I don't like the way
Yeah.
my voice sounds. I hate it
It's
actually.
like actors don't sit and watch their movies. Like,
It's weird.
unless they're really narcissistic.
Man, somebody told me once that like they actually asked the question like it's like artists like who does like slow jams. So like, do you ever to your own music? They're like, Usher said he did.
Said he did. Yeah.